Yes, bitch, yes, with Tiffany, where conversation rules the nation.
Welcome to Yes, Bitch, Yes with Tiffany, where conversation rules the nation. I have a very special guest with me today, but before I introduce him, let me introduce him. From Orlando, Florida, Fessel, also known as Fessy, was one of Florida's top football recruits, earning All American recognition twice.
Ooh.
Fessy was a legitimate high level college athlete as he was a two-time FCS All American tight end. Fessy is a magnificent mix of size, speed, and coordination, and an amazing swimmer. I saw this firsthand. In high school, Fessy was an honor roll student and followed it up with being an all I'm sorry, let me start that again. In high school, Fessy was an honor roll student and followed it up with being an academic All American as well as making the Dean's List at the University of Tennessee at Chattanooga. Why did he not make the NFL, you might ask? Well, Fessy tore his ACL joint during his senior year, but that did not stop him from competing in other arenas. Coming in at 6'5", 230 pounds, Fessy would make his reality television debut as a house guest for Big Brother Season 20, where he finished ninth place. Since then, he's competed on American Ninja Warrior 9, he is a slam ball pro, and he is a three-time finalist on MTV The Challenge. We were afforded the opportunity to play together on the Challenge USA Season 2, where I would find Fessy to not just be a competitor and an ally, but also a complete gentleman. Welcome, Fessel. How are you, Fessy?
Thanks for having me, Tiff. That's the best intro I've ever gotten since I've started doing these podcasts. I'll tell you that. Damn, I was like, okay.
He said, "That's me." Like, wow, those things are me, right?
I
And
ain't heard that in a minute. I was like, go ahead, preach, Tiff. Let the people know.
I mean, those are just the things I was able to find. I know there's so much more to you. I know you've got a podcast, Fessin' Up. I know that you've done some boxing. You are this all American, all sport, all pro that history tells us about. The facts don't lie. You know, the statistics are out there. You can find his stats on ESPN. He is legitimate. He's not just somewhat athletic, he is the athlete. So,
Mm,
you know,
mm,
I'm just, I'm bigging you up because sometimes we forget that we've made all these
mm-hmm,
accomplishments and that we've done all these things. And a lot of times the people who are following our journey along the way come in at a tail end of where we are, and they don't know how we got to this point, how I even became someone to know. And so we end up so much and so many times focused on the future and what I want to do next and what I'm doing now, that we often forget to turn around and just relish in our accomplishments that we have done. All of those things are what even led you to be on the challenge, what got you onto Big Brother. And so
mm-hmm.
I started this podcast so that we could highlight real life situations and talk about the real us, and not always questions about, well, tell me about your relationship with this person on the show and how do you and this person get along.
Mm-hmm.
We can do that on some other time on someone else's podcast, but here I like to highlight my guests and
Mm-hmm.
what makes you you. So how did you become this super athlete? What is it?
I think it just started the way I grew up. You know, my mom put me in football at an early age, like Mighty Mike. You know, I
Okay.
forgot how young we were, but 8 years old, something like that. Tackle football, and my first year, I wanted to quit. I didn't really like it because, I was always the quiet kid growing up. I was never class clown or whatever. So my mom was like, "All right, finish the first year, and if you don't want to play after that, you don't have to play." So I finished first year, and then I ended up loving it. But even like progressing towards like high school and little league football, I was always the kid who was known to like to hit. I was very like not afraid. I was
You're
never the
physical.
biggest. I was never the biggest or fastest kid. Like the coach's son was like the running back who would score all the touchdowns and was the middle linebacker. I was never like the guy until like my junior year. I would say I peaked late. Like I grew into my body late, and I understood what I could do around my junior year, and that's when I really became dominant in basketball and football, and then the scholarships started coming in. But like I said, on the challenge, people, their perspective, they see me in like, besides like Monty on Challenge USA too. Monty was a big boy. He was my size. If not, he was 10, 15 pounds thicker than me too. So besides him though, everybody's like, oh, Fessy's so much bigger than everybody else. That's why, you know, it benefits him in this game. And it's like, the reality is, when I played football, everybody was bigger than me, you know, was either my size or bigger than me even. That's not how I excelled. I excelled through just hustling, not taking a play off. And I think that kind of translates to the challenges. Like, you know, I'm not scared no matter what we're going to do. Like, yeah, I get nervous and my knees shake before like the skyscraper challenges. But besides that, I'm there to like show up. Like, yeah, I get nervous like everybody else in butterflies and shit. You want to perform well, but I'm going all out is what I'm saying, you know. And I think people know that by now. You know, it's not just because I'm big. If it's a race, I'm going to be the first one there, and I'm the biggest guy. That's my mindset. And that was always my mindset growing up in like sports, was gassers, sprints at the end. I was always the first one. I was never the fastest kid, but you know, I was going 100 miles an hour. And I think that was the formula. And I'm 32 now, and it's like, it still benefited me, this formula, you know? So that's really all it stems from, I think, is just hustling my whole childhood.
What fuels your determination to be first?
I don't know. That's a good question. I just am so competitive. I think it's because I know my abilities. Like I've grown up, you know, I play basketball every day. Like I played football my whole life. So like I know what I can do. So like the fact that, you know, I'm not still doing it on a national stage, whether it's football or basketball or whatever, that's okay. Life moves on. You know, that was a pill I had to swallow after college. You know, like when you don't go pro, life still goes on. But now we're fortunate enough to be in the situation where we can go on these cool little game shows, Big Brother, The Challenge, and I could still, like, I feel like the challenge for a lot of people, for everybody, it's a huge blessing and opportunity. But even if you are not into that whole jumping into the water, pole wrestle thing, you're still gonna go because it's a good opportunity, and you could highlight your personality, your social game, but you're still in the back of your mind, you're like, damn, we got to do this. I don't like to do it, but I'm gonna do it because of the other stuff. Me, I'm showing up like, oh my God, they really decided to make a game about this stuff. Like, this is my, like, a dream come true for me. Like, and we're getting paid to be there, and there's a huge cash prize. Yeah. So I think why fans aren't receptive of me is because as I get older, I know, like, damn, maybe when I'm in the interview chair, I don't have to talk about my abilities every time. Like, and that was my mindset my rookie year. I saw everybody, you know, these vets who've won millions of dollars, they come in and they're walking in with some swagger, like their shit don't stink. So I'm like, okay, let me focus the attention on me because I feel like I have a gift. So hey, look what I can do. So when I started doing that and turned the TV on, I'm like, damn, that's not really, nobody likes to root for that guy, you know? So I feel like, you know, fans like to see the underdog and somebody who's scared of it, and then to overcome that. And then I had to just think to myself, I'm like, well, the reality is I don't relate to a lot of people. You know, like that's been like my whole life, and I've kind of used that to my advantage even when I didn't make professional football. Like, the reason I've stuck on Big Brother and The Challenge is because, like, I bust people's ass on that shit, and I bust my ass. I go 100 miles an hour. It's not because I'm the fucking best person to talk in the interview chair. That's for damn sure. You know, I'm working on it. But the thing is,
not hitting.
Even when I be in that interview chair, I be saying some funny shit. They don't show none of that. They're like, Fess is this guy. This is how we're going to show him on the show. And I'm okay with that. That's what we sign up for. But that's why I wanted to start the podcast, because I'm like, well, if I'm going to get the opportunity to go on a show and do that, that's cool. But like, I'm going to tell my perspective on things and my mindset of stuff on my podcast, because it doesn't get shown on the show, you know, and that's okay. We sign contracts saying it's producer's discretion.
Yeah. No, I do want to touch on something. There are a couple of things that are like my wheels are so going as I hear you speak. And I'm going to put my first question second. But one of the things you said is you don't typically relate to other people, and I'm assuming you meaning like probably when you're doing these shows. But you said you're used to not relating to other people, so I'm thinking you're also going back to outside of the shows. Explain that. Like when you say you don't relate to other people, why? Explain what you mean by that and why that is.
Well, there's two sides of it, because when you say that, I'm like, well, I do relate to a lot of people, like in the house, like me and you had a good time, good conversations. Like I feel like I could relate to a lot of people, like and have a conversation just because I've been all around the world and all around different people, right?
Yeah.
So I'm not speaking in that mindset. I'm speaking from like a viewer or fan perspective watching a produced show. You're not going to root for the guy who's saying, hey, I'm going to beat everybody's ass,
Okay.
watch this,
Okay.
and then I beat people and then I come up short on that, and they're cheering for that guy to lose. So I'm like, of course people aren't going to like me like that, you know, but in my head, I was given this opportunity to come on the challenge where it's this, what I'm finding out is, you know, a smaller percentage is the actual physical aspect of the show. You know, it's all politics and numbers and this and luck. And
You know, I'm like the smallest person.
that shit does not matter, Tiff. I mean, you've seen the games in there. I mean, yeah, you got to run, but it's going to come down to who can solve
It
the
matters
puzzle.
in a hall brawl, like they.
But
put
the
me-
chance of you getting a hall brawl is slim to none. You know, you got to get voted in on that. You got to lose that daily, get voted in. You know what I'm saying? Like on that one elimination, like you
Hope I
could
look
win that
scary in
daily.
that.
I mean, it's all in the God challenge gods, your God. It's in God's hands when you show up there. What's going to happen? Like you can't stress it.
Yeah.
You know, thinking I hope I don't get this. I hope then you gonna get it. Look, that's what's gonna happen.
Yeah. I want to ask my first question. So, one of the things that I noticed about you when we lived in the house, and it's so admirable, is your sense of discipline. And I noticed that in one of the hardest ways to show discipline, which is in like our diet. And I remember our first challenge that we had, you virtually passed out at the end of this challenge. You were dry heaving, you had no food in your system, and it was your holiday. It was Ramadan. And so you took that very seriously and committed to being disciplined, even when you knew it wasn't to your benefit in that specific situation. And I was like, that's very disciplined, and he's very committed. And you also still pushed yourself as hard as you could to give it your all, and never said, well, I'm not going to be able to, y'all know I'm not going to be able to hold my end up because I'm depleted of nutrition. I haven't had this, I haven't had that. You never made excuses. And that's a true testament to your character. Like, where does that strength and discipline come from? Where is that foundation grounded?
Well, I feel like everything happens for a reason. So the fact that like Ramadan has now fallen twice on times where I've gone to film the challenge, it's kind of like, all right, well, we're filming this, national TV show, so this would be a good time to highlight. Like, and it's not even about the putting it on the show, because that's not my decision, whether they do or not. It's more so like to show my friends and castmates like you can still compete and win, these dailies while you're fasting. Yeah, it sucks. But you feel so better and so more accomplished when you do like stick to a plan and say you're gonna do something and do it. I was just praying and hoping like the first couple dailies, because it was only gonna last 2 or 3 weeks the first end of the season, So I was hoping the first couple dailies were like a puzzle, some trivia, some like stuff where we don't even have to run, And the first one was that damn I don't even know
Storm
what
the
you call it.
castle. I still remember. Storm the
That
castle.
shit was so intense, Tiff. I was
Carrying
like,
statues through
welcome
trails
to the challenge,
that
man.
were not even trailed out. None of these paths were legitimate paths. It was like, yeah, just cut through these rocks and stones where it looked like there had been an obvious castle before, but some war came in and destroyed everything, and just nobody picked up the pieces until we came and had to like pick up the pieces and run through these destroyed.
And then the woods. Remember, we had to carry the statue through the woods,
Yeah,
and the woods
just
had.
squeezed through some trees.
Yeah, that shit was crazy.
It was
That shit was
insane.
crazy.
Carrying them on our shoulders. Those statues were, they were way
Heavy.
too heavy for like Oh, not the baby. Oh, what's the
He said,
baby's?
"Bubba."
What's the baby's name?
It's Cookie, but it's spelled Cuki, like cookie, because she's Puerto Rican.
Oh, is she? Wait a minute. Okay, silly question. Is she Puerto Rican?
She's like my best friend, this dog.
Wait, is she Puerto Rican? Well, dogs can't be Puerto Rican. Okay, no, okay, we're cutting that.
The dog listens to Spanish.
Oh, yo quiero Taco Bell.
Yo quiero.
Yo quiero. Oh, she knows. How old is she?
Vente. Bájate. She's like about to be 3.
Is she yours?
Yeah.
Oh, now see, that's interesting. And then maybe I'm just being stereotypical, but I think that 6'5", 230 all-American pro athlete would have a Rottweiler.
I mean, I have a pit. This is my girl's dog, but she lives with us
Okay.
like for the past 6-7 months. I have a
Okay.
pit bull too.
that
He's
makes
old
sense.
now. He's 12, a blue nose pit bull.
Okay, look, that makes sense. So I'm not stereotypical.
I just love animals, and like the dog. Like when she's over here and my girl's at work, you know, I spend a lot of time with the dog, so I'm like very nurturing to it.
Where did this nurturing
And-
side come from? I know you're a Libra, and Libras just are lovers. It's the Libra in you. But was your home, like childhood, like very nurturing? You come from like a loving childhood? Is that it?
Yeah. My mom was very like she did everything for us. Like took us to all my practices, meals. But I think it comes from like I feel like my brain's always like when we're out, you know, me and my girl walking, I'm always like looking over here, making sure like I'm processing everything as it goes, right? So like in the house, I'm processing everything to where, you know, I feel like I'm a very convenient person to where I like to do shit that way, you know, my life's convenient. So if I notice throughout the house or day that I can like make someone else's life more convenient, like, and I'm doing it for myself anyways, it's kind of like it's a no-brainer. Like if I'm putting pizza in, like, and there's room for 2 pizzas, like of course other people are gonna want the pizza. So if I'm making it for myself, I might as well make, you know, it's not changing. So that's kind of like my thought process is like, yeah,
You know, I remember I was in the house, and I don't know what it was that I needed a smoothie, but I remember you saying, I'll make it for you. And I was like, everybody in this house has so much to do. And like, everybody's just so busy.
I'd be
taking
bored
care
as
of their
hell in
own
there. I'll
selves.
be trying to find something to do.
And I thought I was like, you know what? Y'all can never get me to say Fessy's name. Y'all couldn't get me to say it before. But this man is feeding me on my bad day. I got his back.
Man, the way I go in there with like, I just go in there and it don't really matter like if I just met you or how many seasons we done. It's like if I get along with you and like I feel like it's a genuine connection, that's kind of like how I play the game. And sometimes it gets me in trouble because like you see me and Josh are always feuding. That's because me and him are really close.
Yeah.
But he's always wanting to vote some way and I'm not voting that way just because like, you know, I kind of play the game with just, I don't know, like I have my own strategy. Like it seems to work for me, you know, like.
Okay, let's talk about this strategy. Let's talk about it. This is the moment of truth. Because I'm looking you eye to eye and I can tell when somebody's lying to me.
What? What am I lying about?
Did you put that ball in on me?
I don't even fucking remember what ball.
It was when y'all had to pull, when y'all pulled Skittles.
When we pulled Skittles, no, I voted Desi.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay, so maybe you...
That was the week you got a name?
No, I know who did that. That was Corey. I will never forgive him. I will always come after you, Corey Wharton. Always. We're supposed to be two light skins from Michigan, and you didn't have my back, Corey. So now we.
Oh, that was between you or Chanel. Was that week?
Yeah.
Was that week?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think because I voted Chanel because I was like, Corey wanted me to
vote for me.
He was like, man, and I was like, and I was kind of cool with Chanel too, but I'm like, nah, I can't vote Tiffany. I can't vote Tiffany. That's just like we're cool and your big brother. I'm like, why am I gonna?
Why would you? Oh my gosh! But that's okay. It's okay, Corey. I got you. I want him in a hall brawl, not with me. I just wanted to see him.
Wait, what was the vote count? Was it only
2?
When you went in? You had 2?
I had 2 balls on me. Yeah, Chanel had like 6.
Damn.
But when it's your time, it's your time. And then they stuck me up on that high ass pole, and I thought I was gonna be all right until I got up there and was like, "Oh, this is not cool." Now I think about it in my mind. Like, do you do that? Like, I think about it in my head now, and I'm like, why didn't I just go out there and act a fucking fool? Like, what was I scared of? I was not going to die. Why didn't I just go out there, not be afraid, jump from here, leap to there, get all the balls I could? Like, why did I let fear sit in me for so long? And then by the time I got comfortable, it was like game over. You weren't here talking about Tiff. You're still here because that was when I was cussing out the shot.
Yeah, I'm like, I thought it was like your goodbye speech. I'm like, Tiff, bro, just lock into the game, man.
I should have saved that energy.
You were like, in my head, I was like, I'm thinking you were like, all right, I'm gone. Let me say my piece right now.
You know, I think it's a mindset of, I had only been in one elimination before because I lost the first time. And so going into elimination, I haven't built up the confidence of I can win an elimination because I haven't won an elimination. So being called down, I am legitimately thinking like, fuck, you can't win an elimination, but that's not the right mindset to have. So it kind of was like, yeah, I'm about to go out and I'm going out with a bang.
The thing is, like with the elimination games, they would be fun to play if they didn't have that much like expectations on them, like you had to perform, like you have all that pressure, because it's win or go home, and so you just like me too, like I get nervous before the eliminations too, because it's like do or die. It's 100 miles an hour. It's not like you're just playing for fun. So it's just very tense.
So is it safe to say you are still interested in growing your career on the challenge?
I think I need to win one before I could move on from that thing. It's been like, the past 3-4 years, however long. It's been 5 seasons, but I think it's been, over the course of like 3 or 4 years. So it's like until I got to win one before I could close that book. Just like, especially if you are keep given the opportunity, I think it's nice to, since we filmed Challenge USA 2, that was over a year ago now coming up on. So, I haven't been on in a while, and it's good. I think when I did 5 back-to-back, by the 4th or 5th, you're kind of like mentally drained, but, I think it's good to take, a year, at least like a year and some change off. Mm-hmm. That way, you do some growing, because the thing is, you don't have really time to grow as a person if you're doing shows back to back to back and you're just mentally warped in that reality that's not real. Right. You got to have some time to reflect and have some time outside of that environment.
Now, what do you do to stay conditioned in between time? Like you said, you haven't competed in a year, and so to stay ready, what's your workout routine? What's your regimen like?
Well, right after USA 2, about 3 weeks after we finished the final, I went on into Vegas and I did slam ball for like 2 months. So that kept me in shape.
Like, how was that experience for you?
That shit, I remember I was texting you, Tiff. I was like, yo, did I make the right decision? Like, am I about to get dunked on ESPN by all these like high level athletes? I'm like, I'm 32 now. Like, I've done 7 TV shows. What am I doing going back to like, you know what I mean? But it's just like the competitive side of me was like, man, I play basketball every day and like, I feel like people can't guard me. And I know it's just like LA Fitness or whatever, but these grown men who are very confident, capable people talking shit in there, and it's like, so I'm like, all right, let me see if I still got it. And I ended up making a team, started every game at stopper, which is like the primary defender. You gotta jump up and block everybody's dunks, so it's like a very physical position.
Is that like Shaq's position?
I mean, Shaq, it's 2 different sports, slam ball on trampolines, but it's basically like Shaq played basketball, not slam ball.
Okay, wait, but I didn't know it was all on trampolines. Listen, let me just
hold up. How I talked to you about this, and you the whole time you didn't know it was on trampolines?
Listen. So
I know you be in your own world.
I'm only somewhat athletic. Like I still am trying to understand what pickleball is. Don't judge me.
Okay. So essentially what slam ball is basketball on Olympic grade trampolines. So like inside the 3-point line of a basketball court is like 4 separate rectangular trampolines that are very powerful, and you can jump from them to propel yourself to the rim. So it's like a very crazy acrobatic sport. It's wild, you know, and they paid us pretty decently. Like I would say on par with like how the challenge was paying us. So for me, it was kind of hard to turn down like an opportunity to show off my athletic side. Yeah, it was like outside the box and like slam ball, but like they had $11 million in investments for startup for 2 seasons. They were on ESPN. They put us in $700,000 Airbnbs. You know, like nice rentals.
Take care of you.
Yeah, they did it the right way. So like I think that was their goal of the sport, was like for not to just get the cheapest players they could find. You know, they wanted to pay for the players, because a lot of the players that were in the league were like ex-NFL players or overseas basketball players, or just played Division I basketball. So these were like dogs. You know, I showed up to camp and I was not the biggest dude. I was average size. A lot of the dudes were, I'm telling you, like 6'9", 6'7", you know, I was average size.
But we just talked about this though, like size doesn't matter, right?
Yeah, and that's what I'm trying to like educate the public on, is like they see, and I get it, size does matter in some things, but I'm like, are you not watching the show, The Challenge? Like size only matters in like 1 or 2 eliminations, like the dailies and balance and cardio and swimming and math. Like, you know, the big guy's not just winning that because he's big, you know, you have to have some other size to you. So in slam ball, like I knew what was going to separate myself was how quick I could understand the rhythm and timing of the trampolines. Mm-hmm. And then just my mindset of having no fear, like reckless abandonment. Like, yeah, I'm the oldest player in the league, but you know, I got a lot of experience and I got a lot to prove. Like, I'm not about to come out here and get dunked on while my show's premiering on CBS. I'm about to come out here and fucking dog walk people while my show's premiering on CBS. That was my mindset. Like, I was trying to double dip, like kick ass on the challenge at the same time, be like on ESPN running shit. So it was fun. But as far as getting in shape like year round, I really just, you know, make sure I'm trying to hit the gym every day. And most days nowadays, I try to work out in the morning, like 10, 11, and on the car ride there, I'll be sitting in the car for like 10 minutes. Like, man, I really don't want to do this shit. Because every day, that shit gets boring. You work out every day.
So I just really thought, like, guys like working out. That's why you guys do it.
You do. Like, if I take like 4 or 5 days off, or even like 3 days, you're like, man, I can't wait to get back into it, you know, because you're like craving it, because you're like, can't wait to feel that pump again, you know. But when you're doing, like, I've been doing every day, I can't tell you the last time I took a day off. Like, just because I'm like, man, I'm trying to, like, it's not even about strength or, like, showing up to the challenge, like, ready to compete. Because most of that stuff is you just have to be calm and composed under pressure. Mm-hmm. You have to be in shape, but that's what, you have to just be mentally ready when you're there. For me, I'm going to run a couple miles on the treadmill or whatever, you know, but to stay ready for these shows, you know, if you do get the call, really just be hitting the gym. But yeah, like, when you hit it every day and you're like, man, it's going to be the same shit. But what I'm saying is, once you get in the gym and get your body moving, then you're like, you never regret it, you know. But it's getting to the gym.
Yeah, tell me.
You just got to get your ass in the car and go.
Yeah, I never work out as hard as I do before I know I've got to go film. So.
Let me fit it all in 2 weeks.
I mean, it's better than no
2
weeks.
weeks is, yeah.
Now, do you do anything mentally to prepare? Like, do you do any meditation? Do you do any yoga? Do you read? Do you listen to any audio books? Do you have any podcast influencers or mentors that, like, mentally help you stay in a focused and clear, positive mindset? Or are you just like that person who can get yourself balanced and focused when you need it?
Honestly, hearing you list all those things, like, do you do any of this? I'm like, damn, those are all the things I really, like, consciously know I should be doing. Okay. And I just, like, always overlook them because I'm like, my mindset is just, I'm trying to go to the gym, you know, get as big as I can or get as shredded as I can. And then I show up to the challenge or the Big Brother or whatever it is, if you're going on or slam ball. And I just know, like, when it's go time, I'm going to go 100 miles an hour, right? So I'm like, I'm excited, you know, leading up to something like that. But I do need to do more of that because, like I said, my mind's constantly going, and I need to learn how to shut it off sometimes.
So, like, all of our minds is doing that. It's like it's a computer that's always, you just, like, we can't hear our brains functioning, but it's always in overdrive. And people think that going to sleep is like giving your brain time to rest. It's not. It's giving your body time to rest, but you have to intentionally shut your mind off. And it's crazy to think that we don't give ourselves like 10 minutes to say, like, and I'm talking to me too, because I like my quiet times in the car. I do a lot of driving. My business is a mobile business. I'm all over Michigan some days, and in the car I will just listen to nothing, and I will.
Oh, really?
I'll just ride in silence. No phone, no talking to anybody, no radio, no music. And I'm not, even when I am listening to something in the car, it's 90% of the time it's not music. 90% of the time that I'm listening to something in the car, especially when I'm riding by myself, it is an audiobook. The 10% of the time that I listen to music when I'm in the car, it is if I have a passenger. But I will also sit in silence and I come up with the best ideas, or I can sort all of those things that are jumbled like yarn, all those thoughts in my mind and ideas, the things that I want to do, that I need to do, that I didn't do, that I have to do, that I like, all of those things. And then sometimes I get fatigued, just brain fatigued on just planning all the stuff I have to do. So then, guess what? I don't do any of it because I can't figure out which one to do. But when I'm silent and I'm trying just to not allow other influences to affect my thoughts, because when I'm listening to music, I'm listening to what you're saying. When I'm watching TV, I'm listening to what they're saying. I'm talking on the phone, I'm listening to what they're saying. When am I ever listening to me? And I'm not listening to me when I'm talking. I'm thinking still. So, and whether it's preparing for the challenge or a show or a competition, we can all benefit from a little quiet time to ourselves. Just try to give yourself 10 minutes. Now, I think I know the answer to this question. I'm going to put you on the spot. I sent you an audio book.
Yeah, you already know the answer. I already answered it for you.
He said, "Nah."
Nope.
Listen, I sent Fessy The Alchemist. I was reading, and it was kind of like coming off of the show. I started reading The Alchemist. I believe I was listening to it as an audio book, and then it was so good. I was like, no, I want to hold this and read it. I want to read it so I can go back and read some more. But there's a boy in the book, and I don't know now why I thought about you, but and maybe it was his determination, his discipline, and I was talking to you about it. But it is such an amazing book for anyone who likes. I can't even tell you what kind of book The Alchemist is. The way you just threw that toy. And try to act like you didn't. But find some quiet time, and that's okay. It's and it'll be hard. Some people think you just have to sit in the quiet, and now those are better moments of relaxation, and people call it meditation. Some people find it hard to meditate, but you can start with just like giving yourself 5 quiet minutes. And it will seem like the longest 5 minutes. But the crazy part is to think about how we can't give ourselves 5 minutes. Like, how can you not take 5 minutes for yourself?
Mm-hmm.
But I'm talking to myself about that. Like, I'm not preaching to you. I'm preaching
No, I'm
to
not.
me.
Listen, I'm all for it. Like, I think that's another thing. Like, hearing you say that, and then like try to like correct yourself, saying you were talking about yourself, so I wouldn't like get offended.
No, I am talking to myself for real.
But I don't know. This is my brain thinking, right? And I'm like, I feel like I've always been the type of person to always take like criticism well, because I'm like, I always admit my faults and everything, and I think as an individual, whether it's man or woman, like it's just a better life to live when you could do that, because if you're always holding grudges and never seeing other people's sides and can't admit you're wrong, is like, that must be a miserable life to live, So you gotta learn to have some accountability. That's like, for all the stuff, I feel like I could do well. I'm like, I could take some accountability on the stuff I can't do well. I am human.
I was just gonna say, we are human, and it's unfortunate that as humans, I'll just skip the reality TV part of it. Just as humans, we have so much pressure to do everything the right way. Like, we're still learning certain things along the way, and the world is forever changing. And as humans, we are evolving, and we're learning things as we go. So it's not always that I'm going to know how to handle a situation or something how you properly think that I should. And guess what? Even sometimes I might know, and I don't want to handle it that way. I want to handle it the way that I want to handle it, but taking accountability for that too at the same time. Like, I was having a conversation with someone, and they're like, I'm struggling in this relationship because I know I need to work on my delivery, work on my patience and timing and how I respond to things. And I'm like, I need a break in this. And then the other person is like, well, you're not really committed to this then if you need a break. But also, I don't like the way that you treat me, but I also think that we should stay together while you get better. And my thing is, what if I don't? What if you don't change? What if you always speak like this? This is your delivery. This is the amount of patience that you have. Can you accept me like where I am right now without saying I need to change? Because do I have 30 days to make the change? Like, how long you gonna give me to make the change? Because little do you know, I might have been trying to change for the last 10 years, and I'm still snapping on people. So
I think the hardest part about like relationships is like the way you communicate with each other, right? Because it's like, if you're in a relationship, you want to make the other person better, right? But you need to do it in ways to where it doesn't feel like you're like, whether it's belittling the person or making them feel bad. You have to, whether it's over time, and then you also have to be supportive. So it's a lot of, you have to like play with it. It's a gray area. You gotta fool around with, like, give and take, because I feel like what I've learned in relationships, as I've gotten older, is, all right, I just try to overly communicate, right? Because I'm like, I don't want, a significant other to feel some type of way or like be wondering, or, because I know that's probably not a good feeling. So just make sure, you're communicating, because a lot of problems you can solve if you just set it up front or whatever. But now it's like so intricate. It's like the way you communicate, the tone. Did you put an emoji on the text? You know what I'm saying? It's like, this is all stuff you have to be conscious about in 2024.
What did you mean?
No, I'll be like a short texter or something. Just like, I'm like, I don't know. It's just, for me, it's hard to like show emotion over text when it's like, for me, it's like, it's not fake, but it's like, I don't know. You're trying to illustrate an emotion, but it's like, I don't know, artificial. I don't know.
Yeah, I think that people do say communication. However, there are a lot of, like, communication is in this bubble, but there are a lot of points that come out of that. It's like how you communicate, your tone, when. Because it's like, yeah, I can say communicate, but what if you're dealing with somebody who shuts down for 2 weeks because they're upset about something, and then 2 weeks later they want to come and talk now, and they're like, well, I'm communicating. Yeah, but your lack of communication for the last 2 weeks, like, okay, maybe you're a good communicator when you communicate, but if you block communication, are you a good communicator? If you are not trying to see both sides or see perspective. And I don't know, I'm a person who is single, and as a single person, I often feel like in my life that is the only missing part to me. Like, I've got everything else, and I'm like, so it's like the partner. But then I've been here before where it's like I've got everything else except a partner. Then I get a partner and they make my life shitty. I'm like, oh my God, I'm so fine. I was so fine. What was I praying for?
Yeah, because
I didn't pray for
you
this.
get more problems added to your plate.
Yes. Like, now somebody is trying to tell me about me, or I'm trying to tell them about them, or whatever. And it's like,
yeah.
I remember my grandmother divorced my grandfather, and she did get married a second time, but she didn't sell her house. And she moved to Pittsburgh with her husband, and it didn't work, and she divorced him and moved back home. And after that, she picked up square dancing, bowling, tennis, her Virginia Slims, and her Milwaukee Best, and her sister. And they kicked it all the way until both of them died. And she never had to take care of an old man. And I'm like,
that sounds good.
Might not be bad. Might not be bad. I ditched the cigarettes and the beer, but it's a couple of 2024 things I could do,
Yeah, because what you said is true. Like, when you feel like before, if you're single, you feel like the only thing you're missing is a relationship. Just because you get in a relationship, there's still going to be stuff you have to work through in that, and that's just not, all butterflies and rainbows after that. There's a lot of speed bumps to get through.
So congratulations to you. Now, we talked in the house, and you were in a relationship. I'm going to just jump in your business. Just like, not a lot, just like I'm going to tap on it a little bit. Is this still the same relationship?
Yeah, been together a year now.
I'm really happy for you. I really am. And I remember how committed you were and focused on that when you were there. And you were like, no, I'm focused. And that's all I'm going to say. But I do see growth, and I see that you are a person who is genuine and sincere in his intentions. And you never strike me once. once I met you and I got to know you, and my very first time meeting you was Hearts of Reality when we were in Orlando. And you said something earlier. You're like, I've never been like this talkative person or like the class clown. I've always been kind of quiet. And I think that you still are you're just quiet natured. And but you will open up and you'll talk about things that are interesting to you. But that quietness or that reservation, sometimes people mistake that as arrogance.
Yeah, I've noticed that as I get older, and I'm like, but I can't change that and put on a smile, and because that's not me.
I don't change the way people perceive you, and that's their perception.
Everybody says that, what you just said. I hear that all the time.
So when we were first in Orlando, they were like, "Oh, I don't know. Fessy doesn't talk. Fessy's kind of he's arrogant." And I was like, I don't know. And so then you invited us out. You invited us all out. You took us to the bar. You made sure everybody had a nice time. I remember like walking past you like, "Tiff, what do you want?" Like, and I was like, you know what? Fessy is a really generous and a very genuine guy. And I was like defending you. I'm like, you know what? I think you got to give him a chance. I don't think it's that he's stuck up at all. I think Fessy is he's quiet natured. And we are all these huge talkative, all these over exaggerated personalities. And so then when you have somebody like you who's just like chill and reserved, it's like, he think he better than us. But
yeah.
I don't get that, and I love that, and I think you expressed that here today, like just in your thoughtfulness about other people, whether it's in the house or in your relationship and your family, the way you look at life, going for things, and accepting accountability and seeing things from both sides. They can never make me hate you, Fessy.
I appreciate that, but listen. One thing, I don't know if you want to wrap it up, but what you said, what'd you say right now? Fuck. What'd you just say? I had a thought before you said that other thought. Hold on, let me think. What were you just talking about before?
Hearts of Reality. You being
Hearts of Reality.
Being arrogant. People misperceiving.
Oh, me being arrogant. Okay. So what I think it is me being in like a locker room my whole life, right? And me also being quiet, right? I think, like, you know me a little bit, I'm genuinely chasing that locker room feeling again, right? Like, because that was my whole life, and that's how you joke around in those sports, is like you say the cocky jokes and this, but everybody talks like that, and that's just the camaraderie, right? That's just the way it is. So I like to have that around other people, and then those are the people I get along with.
We had that like when we walked in the house, in the challenge house. We was talking shit to each other. I was like, whatever, Fessy, with them tight pants.
That shit was funny,
Fessy
man.
thought he was out
dying.
there killing it.
Because no one else would say that shit to me. But you brought it up, I'm like, damn it, man. Now I don't even want to wear these fucking jeans.
I mean, you could barely fit into them, but
listen, I got new jeans for you, Tiff. I got new jeans. Don't worry.
That fit. See,
they're baggy.
You supposed to shop in the big and tall section. You still shopping at the store where Bananas gets his clothes from. Y'all got two different length of legs, but neither here nor there.
It's hard. It's hard shopping for me because I need to shop big and tall, but big and tall, like, they don't put no flavor on big and tall clothes. It's all like just Walmart clothes. Like, I like my shit fitted too and extra long and shit. Like, you can't get that in my size.
And there's a market. That's something that you need to work on.
That's why I wear these every day. That's all I wear.
Create it. You need when they don't have what you want, you make it.
I'm sure they have it. I don't like going shopping in the mall. I get frustrated. I'm like
going shopping at all.
I wear the same damn wife lover every day.
Wife lover, I love it. Fessy, it was amazing chatting with you. You have been a great guest, and I could talk to you more, but I know that we both have things to get into today. Tell everyone where they can follow your journey and hear more from Fessy.
You could follow me on everything: Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, Fessy Fitness.
Fessy Fitness. Easy. And what about this podcast? Don't forget to big up this podcast.
Yep, Fessin' Up Podcast on Instagram. You could also find it on my Fessy Fitness Instagram as well.
Thank you, Fessy.
Thanks for having me, Tiff.
Appreciate you coming out.
Thank you.
Bye, guys.
Bye.